closing deals to opening minds. This is the Mr. D podcast. I'm Omar Andreasen, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in. Hey, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of the Mr. D podcast show. Today, we are excited to have Mr. Rey Ortega. He's actually the CEO and visionary leader behind Grata Software. It's actually based here in Central Florida in Orlando. So it's an Orlando-based technology company specializing in custom software solutions that empower businesses to scale, streamline operations, and innovate with confidence. With over a decade of experience, Rey's actually earned a reputation for delivering high-impact digital solutions tailored to real-world businesses challenges. All right. So he's passionate about entrepreneurship and intervention, driving growth in every evolving digital landscape. Rey, thank you so much. And I'm glad to have you on the show. And I'm intrigued what we're going to talk about today. I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited, man. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate it. And the fact that you're here locally, you're nearby, that's pretty cool too. So a lot of things that we could talk about, not only business wise, but local wise too, as well. So
I love that. I love that. Knowing that you're in the space that you are with software, one of the things that I have to just comes out, AI. What's your take on AI tools for small businesses or just AI in general?
yeah. First and foremost, the thing you got to know is that artificial intelligence is going to be here to stay. And so getting onto the artificial intelligence train right now is probably in your best interest if you want to be a successful business moving forward in this economy. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be like my level of understanding of AI. You just have to know how to use the tools and all the technologies in order to be able to get the job done that you need to get done. And so right now, it's just a perfect time to get in, especially if you're a business that's starting out, because the reality is you don't have the resources like some of these Fortune 500s do, these Fortune 1000s do. Like they have the resources to not only hire people, but then even the whole replacement of people with AI, they can pay the thousands of dollars in order to build their own custom solutions to replace people. However, as a small business, you don't have that. So you need to understand how the tools work and everything, and then incorporate that into your business. The best part about it is once you get them working and once you get them running, they basically run for you. It's like having a bunch of assistants running around doing work for you, and you could just focus on the thing that you're really good at and why you started your business to begin with.
That's awesome. All right, I got to ask you this. This morning I was listening to the news, and obviously, as we know, the United States and everyone is like it's literally a race right now with United States and every other country out there trying to see who is going to be the leader in AI.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the commentator said and asked the other gentleman, he goes, "Do you think that right now AI is growing faster than the internet when the internet was coming up back in the day?" What are your
Oh
thoughts?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the funny thing is that because I've been around since when the internet first came out. So I was actually building websites on the first internet. So I was there when everyone was trying to jump in. But the difference is back then is people were afraid of the internet. So they didn't really jump in with both feet in. With AI, there's so much social media out there that's promoting artificial intelligence. There's a lot of things that are part of the promotions that you're seeing all over social media are not the full story. So they make it seem like AI is so simple, so easy, everybody can do it, and all the tools work, and they're 100% and all this stuff. And so what happens is you're getting a lot more adoption of artificial intelligence, even from people that they're not even sure what they're going to use it for, but they just want to use it just because someone said that this is going to do all these things for you. So the adoption rate is far greater. I can't tell you how quickly we went from we want to build custom software to just I want to build AI. Our phones just kept right now this year alone. Every single call, I'd say about 90% of them were AI requests specifically, and only a 10% were like, yeah, we need to optimize this one thing in our business. No, most of them are like, I just want AI. Like, where do I incorporate AI? And so that's why it's so much bigger than what the internet was when it first came out.
So when it comes to AI tools, okay, someone like myself who has a small business in real estate, okay.
Yep.
So what kind of tools would you say, like Omar, what if you have a small business, one of the things that you should have AI do to help you automate tasks are X or increase efficiency is X?
Yeah. So it really depends on the level. So
Mm.
what I usually tell people is buy tools that already exist that already have AI incorporated. For instance, like for sales, I tell people buy an Apollo AI license because an Apollo AI license has a database full of potential customers and has an automated AI workflow built into it where you can automatically have sequential emails sent out to potential prospects. You can incorporate phone calls in the middle of your workflow. You can do LinkedIn connections in part of your workflow. So you can do all that part of the workflow, but it's all built into the system. You don't have to build anything. If you want to have the emails have automated like actual email text, their AI is already built into it where it can create your email for you, like the actual contents of your email. One of my favorite components of that, by the way, is there's a feature on there where you put in, it's like a little code, it's like a variable. In programming, that's what we call a variable. And so you basically plop that into the beginning of your email. So you know how when you send out an email with somebody, you always want to relate in some form or fashion. So it'll aggregate information about that person from the internet, and then it'll use that as the first sentence. Hey, congratulations on that sale last week of, your company, or congratulations on the new client that you just got, because it saw that in an article somewhere on the internet. And so it does that for you, automated. So tools like that, Apollo, you have Canva for graphics and imaging. Now you have a full AI capability within Canva, things like that. I would always recommend start off with tools that already have built-in AI that are used for a specific purpose. Use those tools first. And then later on, start incorporating your own versions of AI. So for instance, like we have some clients where we built full N8N automated solutions, but they're more customized. They're more like we physically have to hands-on create all the connections and do all the artificial intelligence requests to like ChatGPT and stuff like that. So really, it really depends on where you're starting.
Question now, you just said that has a tool on there as, hey, congratulations on that big contract. Is that now, does it, when you said it picks up things, what if it was something negative? Hey, congratulations, you just got arrested. Hey, you want to do business with us? Or does it only pick positive stuff when it comes to AI?
I feel like I don't know exactly how the algorithm is, but I would assume it'd be positive because I'm sure you don't want to say, "Hey, congratulations on your probation."
Yeah. Or hey, congratulations on having a baby. And then the wife's like, wait, what? We had a baby. Oh,
Yeah,
about that.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I
So
just want to make sure.
I have not run into that. The only thing I have run into is when it can't find information, it actually will spit out the little curly brackets and that word and the thing. It'll spit that out. So you have to write a little bit of logic in there to say if there's nothing, if there is none of that, then just put in, hey, congratulations on your business. Some bland generic thing. But yeah, that's a good question. I want to test it. I'm gonna go find like a criminal online or something. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna see if he'll do it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you said Apollo AI license. How much is that license?
So that one is $99 a month is like I think the lowest one, which I have $99 a month, and I have like I said, I have access to a complete automated workflow. The biggest reason to buy it really is the database because Apollo, it's actually called Apollo IO, by the way, not AI. So
Okay.
it's Apollo IO, and the database is a crowdsourced database. So that means everybody who has a license to Apollo out there that's going out and going after selling, when they get a new client and they put them in, the system automatically aggregates all that person's information and crowdsources that information into the system. And so then you have them in the database. So that's why I'm saying like it automatically comes with a database full of potential leads. And then it's just a matter of doing the same way you would search, filter, all that kind of stuff. And you can create your customer avatars and then go after them and then use the automated workflow to start doing your email sequences to go after clients.
So
So,
then would someone myself or even some of our listeners, let's say we go out and we buy Apollo IO. Okay.
mhm.
We pay that. And then it's okay. Now we want to create our avatar, but we're not really as sophisticated as someone such as yourself. Let's say I go out to you and I say, hey, Ray, here's the thing. I just bought Apollo IO and I don't really understand it, but I have my CRM here. Let's say it's Follow Up Boss.
Yep.
And I how can I convert those two together to intertwine, to work with each other and to send out automated text messages, automated emails on my behalf? Is that something that you can help out with?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I'm glad you asked that because that's exactly what I've done between my HubSpot and my Apollo. So I use HubSpot for managing my actual day-to-day, like the calls, the operations when it comes to sales. And then
Mhm.
I use Apollo to do the aggregation and then the automated email flows. And there's actually built into the Apollo IO actually has built-in integrations and HubSpot's one of them. There's several ones that are several different integrations you can do. Now, we do the more customized ones. So for instance,
Mm.
perfect example, school communities. So
Okay.
school communities is part of our flow of when we attract new customers, we bring them into a school community. Sometimes they'll go to the school community and they'll register there to be part of a member of the community. And so we have triggers and a workflow that when they do that over there, it sends it to Apollo, and then Apollo kicks off the automated nurturing emails after they've signed up for my school community. So there's an integration there that is not found in neither systems, but it's something that we can custom do.
Okay, so those automated emails and systems or drip campaigns, what we call them in art.
Yep, drip campaigns. Yep.
Yeah, so then that's something that you already have set up because the Apollo does not have that, correct?
The Apollo can do drip campaigns if everything happens within Apollo. But if let's say you use a separate CRM and people
Mhm.
come in through your separate CRM, then you can integrate Apollo to do the drip campaigning from the contacts that come through that other CRM. So
Okay.
it's about flexibility, right? At the end of the day, like that's the thing is what we get with these tools is a lot of flexibility. And if you're a person, if you're like our team, where we don't even have to have any information. You tell us the two systems you want to integrate, and then we look for what's called APIs, application programmable interfaces. Basically, they're the way that systems can communicate with other systems using the same language. So what we do is we go find APIs for these two systems, and then we make the connections between the two. So that's how that works.
That's pretty badass. So
Yeah.
let me ask you a question just so the listeners can get a gauge on this. And I'm not going to hold you to this by any means,
Yeah.
but let's say, okay, I just bought Apollo IO and then I'm
Hmm.
like, reach out to you. I'm like, okay, I want you to connect Apollo IO to my CRM and then also to help me create drip campaigns or action steps when this or that happens. How much roughly would you say, Omar, if we did something like that, this is how much we would
Yeah.
charge?
Yep. So the thing is, the most of the pricing for a lot of this stuff, no matter who you ask, is on an hour by hour basis. There isn't a flat rate. So
Okay.
what we do is we surmise what a range would be. So for something like that, the range could be anywhere from a couple $1,000s all the way up to $10,000, depending on the level of complexity. And so that's usually so we usually give a range, and that's usually what it takes. But the reason why, like we have, so I don't know if we've talked about this, but I have a digital strike program, which is a school community. So my school community is called Digital Strike Hub. That's the name of it. And so that community, I built that specifically for people who can't afford the $2,000 to $10,000. And essentially, you can go on there and you can learn from the different videos and tutorials that I have, and also from the community itself of people that have learned from me, and also the conversations that I've had with people about their systems. So it's a bit, that's what the community was built for. It was built for people who just can't afford the hiring an actual consultant or someone like me to do the automations for them.
I love that, man. That's freaking awesome. So let's say I hired you and then you told me it was five or $8,000. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, Ray, I think that's awesome, but I can't afford that right now. How about I can give you 2 grand right now? So can you help me out, at least build out what we can for $2,000? And then as my business starts flourishing and getting better, can I go back to you and then you help me improve my systems as we go along?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's definitely something that's in our wheelhouse. The point of Grata Software and now the Digital Strike program has always been to help small businesses, startup small businesses, and even medium-sized businesses, but a lot on the smaller side. Our whole focus has been on entrepreneurs. So whatever it takes to help an entrepreneur get to that next level, because at the end of the day, our big ticket item is the custom software, right? That's the one where minimum buy-in is like 50,000, customer lifetime value is 250 to $300,000. We would love for you to get to that level, because that means at that level you're generating 10 million, 50 million, $100 million in revenue, right? So that's why we try to focus a lot on working with small businesses and helping them get to that next level so that you can be able to afford the consultant that you need to do the scaling part and all those other things. So yeah, we absolutely would help you at the $2,000 range, and then try to help you get to that next level so that you can afford the bigger, more advanced systems.
I'm assuming the bigger, more advanced systems, is that something where now is that where Apollo IO is not even needed no more? Because now you've grown so much bigger to like, Omar, we're past Apollo IO. We're now Jurassic Park IO, where we're creating your own shit for you
Yeah.
and forget it. Like you've actually graduated now. Is that
Yeah.
what that is?
Yeah, so there's a strategy behind that, and I'm glad we're talking about this because I love having this conversation.
Perfect.
So the thing is, okay, we've helped 5 companies get acquired by larger companies like private equity and all stuff like that.
That's
That's
awesome.
what the goal is for a lot of people, right?
Yep.
It's build a business to sell it, to sell, eventually sell, and then go sit on a beach somewhere and live the rest of your life with your millions of dollars. That's never we don't start off that way, but obviously everybody when they get to that point, they're like, oh yes, I really would love that. So what happens is that in order to get to that level, when you see these people make the 100 millions and the 500 millions and the billion-dollar companies, they're not borrowing people's technology. They're building their own. And
Mm.
there's a reason behind that because if you have your own technologies, your own intellectual property, and that adds a lot of value to your business. And so when equity firms, investment companies, all that stuff, when they're looking at your company to buy, potentially partner with or whatever, they're looking for companies that have a high significant value that's going to get a huge return on investment. In order to do that, you have to own the tech. And so that's what we do is so we help. So at first you don't own the tech because you're just trying to get out there and build your business and make money. But then at a certain point, we have to start looking at building systems that are very proprietary to your business. And therefore you can scale and you don't have to ever worry about getting shut down by Chat GPT like a couple days ago, where it went down and now your customers can't operate because your systems are all running on Chat GPT. Instead, you have your own GPT that is running and never crashes because you manage it.
Okay.
So that's the goal of these larger companies. Once you get to a certain point, you really just want to have all your own systems.
Nah, that's amazing. So let's say I'm gonna go back to the smaller scale because I think a
Yeah,
lot
no
of our
problem.
listeners will be on that side. But I love where we just went with that. That's amazing. That's good to know. So let's say, okay, we got the $2,000 system started.
Yep.
And is there something where because I just like everything else, one thing that we're finding out is technology is always changing. So you as a business owner, you're like, hey Omar, you know what? Here's what's gonna happen is every quarter or every 6 months, whatever, we're going to sit down again because you know what? There's going to be new applications applied. So we have licenses that will make your product even better. And then you're just going to, your systems and your AI is just going to get smarter and smarter as we go along. So is that something that you guys do? Hey, we're going to meet again in X amount of time because we need to look at it again and see what improvements we can make and help you out.
Yeah, so that's part of our, we have a fractional CTO service, which is a fractional chief technology officer service. We have three tiers. We have a lower tier that starts at 29.97 a month, and then it goes higher, and then obviously it increases. And that tier is literally what you're saying. It's
Okay.
our job is to sit there and look at your business, what you're doing, figure out the technology that's going to help you move, and we're also paying attention to what's happening in the industry. And then we're working with you to make the changes and the updates, right? To make sure that you're staying ahead of the curve and you're getting the best results from the stuff that you're doing. And so that's what that service is all about. So yes, we do that, but we do that as a tiered consulting service. It's like a retainer model where we're just there. We're your guys. Like every time you have a technical need, we're your guys. There's no limit per se as to what you can request from us. We can provide consultation. We can physically do the work. There's so many different steps to that. If you go to our website, we actually talk about it on our website where it's the fractional CTO service.
So you said no limits. All of a sudden, you know what came to me? You ever remember that movie Weird Science?
Yes, I
Where
love
they
that.
they created their perfect girlfriend.
Yeah.
So are you saying that you guys can do that
Well,
and make her come to
you know,
life?
it would be an AI avatar.
So she can't come to
However, there
life.
are companies in China that are creating robots that look exactly like a real woman.
That's scary.
I'm serious.
That
They're
is
doing it
really.
and they look pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh
They
my
are.
god, that's scary. That is scary because sooner or later you're like, wait, is that a robot or is that a real woman? You know?
Yeah, it's getting close. If you got to look it
Mm.
up. It's all over China. Like China, they're doing it. It's crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Okay. All right. So you can't create a woman that will come to life if we put bras on her head and electricals and just like they did
No.
in Weird Science. Okay, got it.
No,
But
you're just gonna get electrocuted, and then we'll just have to. That's it. That's all you're gonna do.
or just look up China and order up one of their dolls that they have, is
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah. But then you got to worry about is it gonna turn out like the Megan character from the movie?
Oh, Megan. Yeah, no, we don't want that. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
don't want that. So when it comes to talking about all this AI, tell me, do you when it comes to job security on your part, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like, you know what, I'm creating AI for companies, but do you think sooner or later that AI would actually take over and not need you anymore?
Great question. It does not. So if you follow me on TikTok, you'll see that I have a huge following of engineers and stuff like that,
Mm.
and that's a conversation we always have because a lot of what's not being shown in a lot of these social media videos is there's a lot of errors from these systems. They're making mistakes left and right because so you got to understand how this works. So these large LLM models, what they do is they learn from previous information, and a lot of that information comes from the internet. How many times is information on the internet wrong? Like someone posts
Never.
something, it's just completely wrong. Yeah.
Always.
And the thing is, a lot of it came from like Stack Overflow, which is even worse because you have people making recommendations on code that's not even close. And I really don't think they logically said only select the ones that have the green check mark, which means that's the right way to implement it. Because the reality is, it does a lot of crap. A perfect example, I was doing a live presentation to a wealth group a couple nights ago, or Tuesday night, and I was basically there talking about AI. And I'm sitting there, oh, Lovable, so awesome. It's very simple for someone to use. And I log into Lovable and I did a prompt and I'm like, watch, and it's going to create a whole website really quickly, whatever. And it took forever. And I said, okay, I'm going to move that to the side and then I'll get back when it's done. I go through the whole presentation. I get to the end. They're like, oh, by the way, how did the Lovable thing happen? And I slid it back over and I said, okay, so this is the part that I got to show you. And it was like all red errors. Like there wasn't one thing that it did correctly. And I'm
Oh,
saying, this is the part they don't show you on social media. So now I said, I'm looking at these errors. And as a software engineer, I know what that error means. I can go fix that error. But you, who doesn't know, are going to have to keep prompting it until it fixes it. And so you're
mm.
going to be sitting there forever doing it. So that's the part that we're not worried about. We're not worried about our jobs being taken away because the fact is it's not 100%. It will not be 100% because in order for it to be 100%, every piece of information that it trains from has to be perfect and it has to be right. And it's never going to be that way. We're never 100%
So, in
right.
your opinion, what industries would you say are pretty much in danger with AI?
Anything that's process driven that doesn't require a nuance or an actual skill set. I have this whole conversation. I have this TED talk that I do, and I say AI has no heart. And I talk about how it's super important right now to do things that you're very passionate about. Have a job that you're very passionate about, where like your personal soul and what you do that's special is infused in the job and the results that you do, because that's what AI cannot replicate. But if your job is a very mundane, very simple task that has a very finite set of results and they're always the same, I said that's going to be replaced by AI because that's what AI can do. It's logical. You got to look at it that way.
No, so if you're administrative assistant, then you need to be careful because your job could be taken over by AI because an admin assistant would do just, and I'm saying this out loud, so
Yeah,
please feel
yeah,
free to, because I'm thinking,
yeah.
okay, because an admin assistant, like let's say if I have someone right now, okay, admin assistant, this is what I need to do. I need to start cleaning up my emails and then organizing them to these different boxes that I have within my
Yep.
email, and then also to send out this certain email whenever we get a new listing or this, that, and the other, boom, boom. So I'm assuming AI,
Yep.
you can pretty much, your company could say, hey, Omar, how much do you pay the assistant?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell her bye because you, let me tell you, we can just make
Yeah.
that now efficient and
Yeah.
it can be more efficient than that. So is that, those are pretty much the industries that might be going bye bye.
Yes, because that's a
Yeah.
perfect example. Because as you were explaining it, you're giving rules, parameters, and a specific set of results. You could
Very.
take that and you just map out your automation tool to do those things,
Mhm.
and then it'll do it exactly how you said it, right? Because you said it, you have the rules.
Exactly.
So if it's different if you're saying, "Hey, my to your assistant, I need you to write an email, but I need the email to be very custom, very specific to the customer." That's a different story.
Mm.
But if you're saying I just need you to go in there, clean my emails, clean up my box, and then move these to a folder, those are all just tasks that anybody can do.
Yeah.
It doesn't require any nuance, doesn't require any extra special skill. So those things can be replaced. It's Have you ever watched the movie Tropic Thunder?
Yes.
Tom Cruise's character, right? The guy at the end, or he like him and his assistant, and they're like laughing about the award and everything.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Yeah, a nutless monkey can do your job."
Yeah.
And then they started laughing, and he thought he was joking. And he goes, "No, seriously, a nutless monkey can do your job." Those are the jobs that are going to be replaced by AI. It's that simple. So
Dude, just to let you know, we're putting out some amazing movie quotes here. We need to find out here somewhere we can fit Dumb and Dumber in there somewhere as well, as we're going along,
absolutely,
you
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
So, all right.
Yeah,
So we're talking about all this stuff with AI, and I'm sure this comes up, but let's discuss the ethical considerations when it comes to AI and the impacts that it has on the workforce.
yeah. That's a hard one, man, because I'm a huge proponent of people and humanity. So I
Mm,
don't like the replacement of people's jobs. To me, I feel like that's an ethical dilemma.
yeah.
Like when I got into this industry, and in fact, just to give you background of how I got into this industry, when I was a kid, my father, who had come from Cuba, I told you earlier, my parents came from Cuba. They originally were in a normal family, and when Castro came over, he basically took over everything and basically put them homeless. So my family, they had to figure out a way out. So they found a way out, came to America, and my dad realized that the only way to live in America is to have your own business. Like it's the only way to be successful. And so he started building businesses. He saved money for years in working in a warehouse, bought his first like diner, gas station. Like he started buying little things here and there. And I just watched this guy wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and then come home and close the businesses at 2 a.m. And he worked so hard that I wish there was a way to make his life easier. And then lo and behold, one day we're watching DuckTales. I was a kid watching DuckTales, and it was the episode of Work Smarter, Not Harder. And I watched that episode, and it literally was just like a switch. And but at the time, I was using computers, by the way. So back then, the Apple Classic they had in my public school, in my elementary school. So I was already learning how to like type and things like that. But I was a kid. I didn't know automation or anything like that. But over the years, I have always tried to figure out a way to automate or make things a lot simpler. And so that's just been my MO my whole life. So when things got to the point where I could program them, I can automate things, that's where I really got into it. And that was all stemming from the fact that I'm just lazy at the end of the day. I don't want to do the work. I want things to do the work for me. I want to do what I want to do. At the time, I loved playing baseball. I loved playing basketball. I loved doing sports. I didn't want to work. And so I always tried to find things that would do the work for me. And that's how I got really good at programming and building automated systems and all that kind of stuff. And that's where the company came from, Grata Software. So I was helping people build automated systems and software, things like that. So I did all that for the sake of improving life, making things easier for people. But the problem is now we've completely flipped the script on what technology was originally used for. Now we're here to use technology to replace people, right? Replace things, replace people, and that was never the intention. The intention was to make life easier, make people's jobs easier, let them focus on their really good strengths, because everybody has a strength. When you hire an employee, you hire them based on their skill set and their strength. What we're trying to do is get rid of them having to do the paperwork and having to sift through their emails. We rather them work on the thing they were hired to do, the thing that they're really strong at. And it sucks because we reached a place now where money's always been important, but we reached a place where they don't care about the people anymore. Like they just want to get the money. And so what they're doing is everyone's out here just trying to figure out a way that they can make bank on replacing people's jobs. And that's the unfortunate part. That's flipped the whole thing. And to me, it's unethical. To me, I see it as an unethical way of using technology, but I'm one person. But because it's hard, man. And yeah, so that's basically it. The other part of it that I really don't like is deep fakes, the ethics behind the deep fakes, which is essentially it's a way that you can replace people's faces and their voice. You probably have seen it all over social media where they'll take like Tom Cruise is a perfect example. There's a Tom Cruise deep fake that's always out there. It's a video of someone doing something stupid and they'll throw Tom Cruise's fake and face and voice on there and it looks real. You can hardly tell the difference. And so people are using that. And we've run into an issue where they're using deep fakes for porn. They're taking famous actors and actresses' faces and putting them on porn bodies. And so it looks like in the porn video that it's the famous person. So it's things like that's where it's gone completely unethical and there's no guardrails. So I think honestly, we're going to hit a point where the government's going to have to start regulating artificial intelligence.
I wouldn't be surprised. And you know what? Yeah, that you hit the nail on the right on the head because at the end of the day, it's like, all right, AI is giving us unlimited tasks to do whatever the hell we want. But then hold on here. All of a sudden now, like you said, let's say you just made it a great example. Okay, putting somebody's faces on porn. What if that person's married and has kids?
Exactly.
That's not me. I was like, that is, and then all of a sudden now you start breaking up relationships and families, and now you've just taken it to another level where obviously AI was never supposed to do that, but at the end of the day, it's one of those careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
and it's unfortunate, man, because everything we do, everything we innovate, that's a good thing. Someone just figures out a way to make it bad, and they just go out there, and it's because our society is inherently negative. I don't know if you've ever read any book on power positive thinking or anything like that, you really start to realize how negative our society is
Yep.
on a daily basis on everything. And so we always go towards the evil and bad stuff. We just gravitate to that as human beings. And so the things that are positive and good, we have to work at those. But the things that are evil and bad, we just naturally go that direction. So it's a really weird thing, and it's life. It's the way it is. So it's really hard to even It's hard to combat that without having really strong, for me, it's having really strong faith and really strong mindset and things like that. That's the reason why every self-help book, it talks about mindset. If you literally go to any self-help book, any business seminar, whatever, what's the first conversation, what's the first presentation is mindset. Because that's the key. You have to trigger people's mindsets to be more positive, more uplifting, and things like that. Because that's the part that we have trouble with as a society.
No, I agree. I agree. So, is there any tips that you can share, practical tips? And we'll go with practical tips first
Yeah.
when it comes to small businesses incorporating automation and AI effectively. Any practical tips that you can share?
I have a whole presentation that I do where because small businesses, what's the hardest part about a small business is getting new customers.
Mm,
So I have a whole process that I show. In fact, I could share it with you as a whole PowerPoint presentation on the process of actually getting new customers. It's how to find the right target market, how to get new customers, and so on and so forth. Apollo is in that conversation, but there's some prompts that I have that if you pop them in ChatGPT and you pop in who you are, like your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, and the kind of business you want to do, it'll actually pop up the different types of opportunities you could take advantage of. And it
mm,
looks for the blue ocean. If you ever heard about between blue ocean and red ocean. So
no.
red ocean means there's a market that's really saturated and
Okay.
there's blood in the water, right? There's too
Mm,
many sharks, there's blood in the water. You want to go towards a blue ocean, which is wide open and gives you opportunities to make a killing, so to speak. And the thing is, you need to find a blue ocean. You need to find a market that's so specific that you are the voice of authority and you are the person in that market that everyone looks towards. And it's hard to find those. So I have a whole prompt that will find that for you in ChatGPT. And so that you can go and find a very specific target market and demographic that you're going to go after from a business perspective. And then on top of that, there's another part of that whole prompting system that shows you how to market to those people and how to speak their language. So as far as practical tips, my practical tips are pretty extensive. So I could literally just give you, I have a whole free, the prompting guide that I use. I can literally share it with your audience. I can share it with you and then you can share it with the audience. And if you just follow those tips, inside of that document, you'll be able to do everything from finding your right target customer, knowing how to talk to that target customer. And then I have another one that actually goes even deeper into the psychology, demographic, and psychographic elements of your target market.
that'd be awesome. Yeah, if you could definitely share it with me, and then what I'll do is I'll send it to the team to make sure we add that on there. But that is great. Yeah, because I figured when I asked that question, like this could be a loaded question with
It
so
is.
many
It's totally
answers,
loaded.
especially when it comes to AI. You
Yeah.
just don't know what kind of question you're going to get from it. So that's
Well,
awesome.
I made like on Tuesday, I made the mistake of trying to answer that same question for the wealth people. And when I got done saying what I said, they were like, "Yeah, we're really interested in how to invest into AI." And I'm like, "You should have just said that right." Like, you should have just said that right off the bat. And I'm like, because I would have had a whole different answer. But yeah, but it's true though, because AI is such a bloated topic right now. There really isn't a specific tip because every tip requires steps. There's no, hey, just say this one thing in ChatGPT and everything's going to work.
Yeah. So in saying that, do you have to be? A couple months ago, I was in a conference and they covered a little bit about AI. So let's say that I'm trying to get a specific answer. Do you have to be crystal clear with AI to get the answer that you really want?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I had a mentor session this morning with a mentee, and that's the first thing she noticed. I was sharing my screen and I was on ChatGPT doing something for her, and she was looking at my screen going, "How do you know to ask the question the way you ask it?" She's like so far detailed and very descriptive. She goes, "I would never think to ask that." And I'm like, "You really got to look at it." So I guess this is the one tip I could give you guys. You got to look at it as if you're talking to a child and you're giving child directions. Like you got to be very specific because a child's not going to understand nuance, right? If you tell your child, "Hey, I need you to clean your room," right? And if you've ever had a child clean the room, what do? They throw everything under the bed
Yeah.
or they throw it in the closet and they're like, "I clean my room." I need you to clean your room. I need you to organize your shoes in the closet under this thing. I need you to take your clothes. I need you to put them on the hanger and hang them up. I need you to do, you have to be that descriptive. So that's how AI works.
Question. If you ask AI that same exact question again, will it give you the same exact answer?
No. No.
Why not?
Okay.
What the hell is that about then?
So let me explain. Okay.
AI must be a female. I'm gonna get.
That's why they're all called she's. No, I'm
I'm
joking.
just joking. I'm
I
just
know.
joking, everyone. Gosh, my wife
Right
is
now,
like,
everyone just clicked on goodbye. No, I'm joking. But okay, so let me just break it down to you. Large language models, which is what ChatGPT is and all these other tools, it's just a word calculator. There is no actual intelligence. Artificial intelligence is there's no intelligence. That's why it's called artificial intelligence. It's math. So essentially, what happens is you have what's called an input layer. The input layer, what they do is they take all the words that you've put into it, they break the words down into numbers, what we call integers in programming. Then they run those integers through a calculator, a very complex algorithm, mathematical equation. And then what it does is it weights each answer and then it passes that through another layer, what's called the hidden layer. And the hidden layers do this a lot of times. That's the reason why you're seeing that there's a lot of power usage and a lot of CPU and GPU usage. Is you hear all the stories about the amount of power that AI takes. It's because you're having to run these iterations over and over and over again. And then on the output layer, it takes all of the numbers. Basically, it's just numbers. There's nothing, there's no words. And it goes back to the vector database and now goes, the word the was ID 1, the word team was ID 5, and now it compiles all those words back together. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing that output. And so how these models work is they feed it a series of text, and then on the output, the text needs to be similar to what was fed in. So it waits till it gets as close as possible to 98% accuracy. And once it gets there, it stores all of the weights, all of the algorithm, all the math. It stores all that and now locks it in. And so now when you use it, you're just using the calculator. You're just throwing in words and it's spitting words back out to you in a calculator. That's all it is. So
you
there's
just
no logic. There's no real actual like logic. What you're seeing when it like relates words together, like in healthcare or whatever, like the subject matter, that's the transformer side. So the transformer also receives a series of words and their related words, and then it uses math again to determine that those words are related. That's how it determines how to make sure if you say the word instance, like the word instance could be used as an actual like instance of something, or it could be used like an instance like AWS, which is the what we use for a lot of our cloud solutions. Instance is a server. So how would it know the difference between instance server versus instance, like the grammatical term of instance? It does through the transformer. The transformer teaches it that this word needs to be related to this subject matter. And that's how that works. So it's a calculator. It's just a word calculator. There's no actual intelligence.
you actually blew my mind.
Yeah.
So
Funny thing is, so I am
I've
in a business office that's like
never heard
like
of that.
50 businesses here. And someone asked me the same question. And I went on the whiteboard and I drew out the whole neural network and how it works. And when I got done, everyone there was like, oh my God, I feel so much better about AI now because they realized there's no intelligence. There's not an actual, it's not thinking. It's not going through and actually doing any thinking. It's just math
That
at the
that
end of the day.
is, man. Okay. And you know what? I've never heard anybody describe it the way you just said. Never.
I'm
So
glad.
I didn't know that it was math on the back end. In fact, to be honest, I really don't know what the hell I thought it was, but holy hell. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So on my TikTok live last week, what I did is I created a web page and I built out this web page that had a simulation of what I just explained. And so when I was talking on my TikTok live, I just had the simulation playing in the background. And it basically showed like all the nodes and how the math changes, the numbers change, right? And then how it outputs different numbers every single time. And those numbers are essentially converted to words. So, yeah.
That's mind blowing. All right. So the good news is, boys and girls, that if you do cheat on an essay and the teacher tries to find out if you used AI, she would never ever guess it. Or would she?
It's hard.
Yeah,
So it's
I guess
hard.
that would be hard, right?
It's hard. It's hard to, yeah. So you have to look at patterns, right? So for instance, like I could tell if someone used an LLM, like a ChatGPT, to do something because the word unlock, especially if it's marketing, the word unlock always tends to be the first word. It's unlock your this, unlock your that, right? The other thing is the M dash. We've already heard that all over social media. If there's a lot of M dashes randomly in your text, chances are you used ChatGPT or something like that. The other thing is when it uses, like for instance, you tell it to talk casually, right? Casual conversation, it says phrases and metaphors and similes that normal people don't talk like that. What is it called? I forgot which one I did. I did one last week and it kept replying back. Like your soul, it's smarter than like whatever, whatever. It gave like a phrase, and I'm like, I would never say that. I don't know a single person who would ever phrase it that way. And I was using Grok 4, by the way. So I was using the new Grok from X.
Okay.
And then it kept replying, you're right. Let me change that up. And then it changed it up to some other cheesy metaphor. I'm like, again, nobody would ever. I said, can you just speak? Can you just give me a normal one? Like a normal metaphor. And it did. It finally did after 5 or 6 tries. But it was just crazy. But that's how
That
you could tell. It's if
okay.
you've watched enough of the output, at some point you could just see it. So when you read someone else's stuff, you'd be like, yeah, that was ChatGPT. That's definitely not regular text. You know.
So when it comes to all this AI like Chat GPT and Grok and whatnot, would you suggest there's one better than the other, or do they all have their uses depending on what it is that you're going to use it for?
Me personally, I use them all, and I use them all for specific reasons. So ChatGPT, I use it for basic like research and output, like for something I just want to research and I need to get information. I use Perplexity for deep research. So that's for because that one actually scans websites, it scans like academic articles and all that kind of stuff if you want to get really deep into knowledge.
Mm.
I use Gemini for the same thing for deep research like Perplexity, but it's a little bit different because that one's a little bit more logical. And on top of that, Google obviously owns the ad platforms that every site is tied to. So
Yeah.
if you want to find out stuff about the internet specifically, I use Gemini for that. I use Claude for marketing copy because it does a phenomenal job with marketing copy, sales copy, and then also ads. Like if you want to use ad copy, Claude does a phenomenal job for that. Claude also does a great job for code. So if you're looking at coding something or vibe coding, Claude is amazing for that. Croc is a very great conversationalist. I will literally, when I get in the car, I'll put up Grok and I'll have the conversation side of Grok, the chat, and I
Mhm.
will talk with it for a whole hour about strategy, business strategy, ideas, thoughts, things like that. And it's having a full conversation with me with no interruption. So if you've ever used the chat feature on ChatGPT, I mean, if anyone's used it, it crashes all the time, like every 2 seconds. Like it feels like it's unusable. I don't even know how they're even selling it. But the one for Grok is off the charts. I can go a whole hour drive and have a full hour long conversation without problem. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's why how I use them differently. So I find out whichever one does what I need to do, and I do that for that thing only.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Damn, there's so many goddamn nuggets in this interview. You're amazing, by the way. That's awesome.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
uh, are you in?
This is the only thing I'm good at, by the way.
I was
Like, I
like,
tell this to everybody. I'm so ingrained in this because you don't know. I can't mow a lawn. I can't like even fix the tire in my car or change it. I don't know how to do any of those things. But dude, you talk to me about technology and business and the conversion of those two. This is my bag every day, all day.
are you in
So
AI? Am I actually speaking to the real
am I?
Ray, or is this an AI?
That's why my mic keeps going away. That's why my mic keeps disappearing. I'm AI. It won't do it now that I'm trying to do it, but
Of course not.
my
No.
mic's been going like there you go. It disappeared again for a second. But
All right. So a couple more questions that we'll let you go. Can you highlight a success story that you've had with a client? Let's say someone that maybe started off small and then all of a sudden, like you said, then got bought out by somebody else.
oh gosh, let me see. My favorite was big because it was healthcare. So there's a company called Care Time Health. The CEO's name is Jared Schneider, really great guy. He found us, this was 2017, 2018. He found us through a referral or something like that. And he showed up, and basically almost everybody that comes to us usually has already gone through an offshore team, and that offshore team's already built something, but it's like really jacked up and
Mm,
half the stuff doesn't work. And so he built a complete system that allows for companies that are doing at-home healthcare, people that go to the house and take care of patients,
yeah.
they can clock in, clock out, and it tracks their hours and everything. Basically, they can bill. It's called Care Time Health. And so, working with Jared, originally it was just his platform, his Care Time platform. And the great thing about it is like we were building a lot, we were adding a lot of features to that platform that was making it more robust. A company called Dial and Dock was interested in selling, and Dial and Dock was a system, was like a very a competitive system of theirs. And so we figured out how to integrate his product with that product. He ended up acquiring Dial and Dock. Then a little bit later, there was another company that we integrated with called Alara, which Alara was they were for hospice care. So they were basically a framework, a tracking system for hospice care. And what I loved about it is that it not only they had most of the hospices in the United States, but one of the greatest thing was what I loved about that project was they had so much data.
Mm.
And there was so much data that we could use for everything, for AI, for machine learning, and like predictive analytics. There was a lot of things we could do. So he ended up acquiring that company, and we built out like a very elaborate system for him. And then not even a year later, some large private equity firm made him a huge offer and ended up buying the company. And the great part about it is they kept us on as a consultant on when we transitioned. They kept us on as a consultant because we were the only ones that knew how all the systems worked together. What I liked about that project is more specifically is not only working with Jared and helping him build his business and then selling it. And now he actually is a president of or CEO of another company somewhere else. But the thing about it was we got to see how the healthcare telephony system works, like all these telecom systems that they use in healthcare. We also got to learn how Medicaid and Medicare and all those healthcare programs, how they bill and how they run their bills through the system. And so we got to learn all of that stuff. And like I said, the best part about it is the data. The amount of artificial intelligence that you can build off of that data and machine learning and predictive analytics was off the chart. You could figure out, and I know it sounds crazy, but you could figure out the length of time that a patient would potentially last at a hospice per se, right? And you can help the company make a better decision as to how to manage the purchasing of the drugs and things and that and all stuff like that. So it was one of my favorite projects, mostly because of the fact that we got Jared through his small platform all the way to bought out by a private equity firm. And right now we have a second company like that we're doing that with. So we're working with a company called Ripple Point, which aggregates bills from every single major hotel chain in the country, and they essentially renegotiate deals with AT&T, Verizon, all the providers for hotel chains. And for them, the project that's amazing is we built an artificial intelligence solution 8 years ago for them. No, 7 years ago for them, that essentially ingests all the bills, does all the analysis, and then makes a recommendation of how to lower the costs. And now because of LLMs, we're upgrading the system because we had a 60% accuracy rate before. So there was about a 60% improvement in productivity when we first built it, but now we're going to get 95. Like it's ridiculous. And it's all because we're adding layers in there that include the new LLMs, and it's pretty amazing project. But the reason why we're doing this is because they have been sought after by a private equity firm for the last 2 years, and their platform just wasn't ready for it. And so now we're getting their platform ready for it. So this is going to be an exciting acquisition if it happens.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Question: is there an industry you like working with more than others, per se?
Not really. I'm a huge, like, I like learning stuff. And
Mm.
so I love working with different industries. I like working with industries that I don't know yet. I like when we get a client, it's an industry I don't know because we do deep dives. Every time we get a client, we deep dive. Like by the time we're done, we know the CEOs of the major companies, all the different distributors, the vendors, and everybody, and we know them. Like I'm a phone guy. I pick up the phone and I call them up. Hey, we're working with your client because you're a vendor. We're doing this cool thing and we want you involved and we want to involve you in the whole process. Can we meet? And then I'll go meet with them and I'll say, look, this is what we're doing. I need you to do this. If you can build an API for them here, then we can make this work. And then you're going to make twice as much money. I love that part. I love that part is going to those companies and working with all these different companies and saying, we can make your life better by improving our client system. We can make your life better as well. And then what that does is that's where we get our referrals. At the end of the day, all of our business has been run on referrals for 10 years. Like we've never had to advertise or market. And it's just because we keep doing that. We just keep improving each company we work with. And then because they're tied to another company, we improve that company too. And so as we go through the process, we're constantly improving. And that's what I love about it. So it doesn't matter what industry, like every industry for us is fair game. There are industries that we want to get into that they just don't have the money to do the kind of stuff that's needed. But yeah, I would say out of all the industries that we've worked with, healthcare was just my favorite because everything we've done for healthcare is to help people. So
Mm.
that's probably the only reason why I love the healthcare side.
That's awesome, man. All right, two more questions. Oh, Grata, does that have a meaning?
Great question. Very few people ask me that. Very few people ask me that. So Grata does have a meaning. It's a story behind it. And I'll try to say it really quickly. But I worked at a college for 6 years in the IT department, And very similar, like I do with Grata, like I was the guy building all their systems. Like it was one of these things where I was hired on to do one thing. They let go of everybody else, but because I had the most knowledge and the ability to do what they need to do, they basically left me by myself to work for everyone's job. So for 6 years, I was working there, and I never got a raise, never. But I built all of their systems. I built like their version of YouTube. Like they
Mm.
had their own video streaming system, live video system. I built it from scratch. I built the players, I built the server that ran it, I did all that stuff. They moved me to the TV studio with this other guy, Mike, and we both worked together for 5 of the 6 years. And while we were working there, they were getting rid of people that were super talented, but they just didn't fit the mold of the higher ups. Like they weren't like part of the team, so to speak. And so we had a guy that kept coming into our office every time they let go of somebody. They'd be like, "Oh, so and so got let go," and they're persona non grata. And he kept saying that word. I never heard it before. And I'm like, or that phrase. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, yeah, they're no longer welcomed. And I was like, man, but they were smart. They did really good work. So then I was like, one day I'm gonna have a company where we'll take anybody. We don't care if they're quirky, if they don't match the mold of like corporate environment. Like we just want people that can get shit done and do a great job, and they're really smart at what they do. And I don't care if they have ADD, autism. I don't care if they have anything. If they're not social normal or whatever. I said, I don't care. So I said, I'm gonna create a company like that. And no joke, it was like a year later I registered the company Grata. Originally it's called Grata LLC, and then I had to create the Grata software so people knew what we did. But I created the company Grata LLC, and that's what it's about. It's about welcoming people no matter where they come from and no matter what quirks they have, and accepting them for what they deliver, not necessarily for who they are. So,
That's awesome, man. I love that story. And I'm glad you're able to share with that, not only with me, but with the audience. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
oh, no
So,
problem.
all right,
No
last
problem. Nobody
question.
asked me that, but I've had that story. Like literally, that's the story, and I'm like, nobody ever asked me, and I'm like, if only people really knew what Grata was about. But that's funny.
I'm glad I asked. I'm glad I
Yeah.
asked. All right, last question. And I asked this to everybody. Okay. So if you can leave just one deed behind, one action, mindset, or lesson for any real estate professional or even entrepreneur that's been listening today, what would it be?
I'm glad you asked. Man, you're hitting every question like on the dot. Because this question, this is my answer, and my answer is humanity is still at the top of the importance of everything that we do. It doesn't matter how much tech we have. It doesn't matter all of these smart little things that do this and that for us. At the end of the day, it's all about humans and relationships. Every business is built on relationships. Everybody does business with people because of relationships. That is the one thing that we need to keep in mind when we do anything. When you're creating your automated emails, throw some humanity in there. I know it's hard to automate that, but figure out a way to make it human. Same thing with when you're working with your employees, make it human. Build relationships. That is the most important part of everything. And it doesn't matter. Like I said, it doesn't I've never seen a successful company not have relationships with the people that they work with. I just haven't seen that. So humanity is still top notch.
I love that. I'm just gonna throw something on top of that because there's some I use VAs and slowly and one of the things that's funny, I was talking to one of my mentors, and with what we do, there's always a script, right? And he goes, why not tell the VA, put in the script, hey, my name is my name is so and I'm from the Philippines. Omar hired me to reach out to you, blah blah blah. He goes, just address it up front.
Yes.
Just address it up front. Yes, I'm from the Philippines. Yes, I've been hired to do this. Yes. So would you think that maybe sooner or later it might be something like, hey, yes, I am Omar's AI bot, by the way, and I'm reaching out to you just because Omar's so goddamn busy, but he wants to make sure that you keep him top of mind when you are whatever it is.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. In fact, there are companies that are already doing that. There's several companies that are doing that where it literally will tell you, it says, "Hi, I'm an AI assistant, and my job here is to help get you to the right place, make sure that we're not wasting your time, and all this stuff, so that you feel comfortable of why it's there." Because at the end of the day, it's all psychology, right?
Yeah.
It's the thing. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, Verizon this week,
Oh,
I had the most worst thing happen
oh.
in Verizon. I hope they're not a sponsor.
Uh, Trust me, if they were, they just got fired 4 weeks ago because I've been with them for 15 years and they literally shit the bed with me.
So they did that this week to me. I've been with them for 7 years. 7 years. They shut my phone off. And they shut my phone off because I'm used to paying a certain amount.
Hmm.
And I don't even look at the bill. I just pay it. And what happened was I bought new phones for my wife, myself. I did the whole deal that they had. I didn't know that my monthly bill went up $20. I didn't pay attention to that. So what happens is when the bill came, I paid it. And then that extra $20 is still there. And so my next bill is until July 31st. So I kept getting this notification like your bill's past due. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's July 31st. It's not past due. And then finally, I think it was Wednesday. No, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday before my presentation. My phone, I got the notification that I no longer have my like LTE, like my phone got disconnected. And so I'm like, oh my God, like what just happened? So when I go to call, I got a bot, and the bot was like, sorry, we cannot move forward until you make your full payment. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, I just need a human. Sorry, we cannot move forward until you make a full payment. So then I was like, okay, that stinks. So then I went to their chat bot on their site. The chat bot's, my name is Andrea, and I'm here to help you. And I'm like, okay, Andrea, so this is the situation. Okay, wait, let me look further. 5 minutes later, hello? And then it went, I'm still looking into the issue. And it was like five more minutes. So now the problem is that I have a new bank. And so I went to the new bank and I'm like, hey, I can't even log in because my dual factor authentication goes to my phone, which is off. So I can't even log into my account. So I call their customer service and I'm like, I need a human. Hold up. We'll get you with a representative really quickly. They got a representative. Look, the guy was on the phone with me. I said, hey, my dual factor authentication doesn't allow me to get in my phone now, or my phone's not working. So I can't like get it. And so he just asked me all the pertinent questions to verify it was me. He turned off dual factor authentication. I went into the account. I was able to transfer money to the account that I used to pay my phone, and I just went ahead and just paid the bill that's due at the end of this month, just hoping that okay, that'll fix the problem. And so I did that, but it shows you the difference in service. Like I never got the resolution on Verizon. They never gave me a person, and the bot never even tried to help me. In fact, it's still after I paid it, it says, we're still looking. Thank you for your patience. And then I finally responded and I said, I already paid it. Turn on my phone and F off. That's literally what my response was. Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way, but we'll get back to you soon. And I'm like, this is the problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem. You guys have completely dedicated to using AI chatbots and AI solutions and not humans, that now there's no service at all. And
No.
this was a simple fix. And I can tell you, this was a programming error because they probably in the program that they're using, because they're automating everything, it literally says if it's a late payment, it's past a certain date, then shut off the phone. But it doesn't have the nuance to understand that it's a $20 difference of what I paid and what was left over. That's not necessarily a late payment. Just tag that onto the next bill and that'll be paid. A human would have known that. A human would have been like, oh yeah, we'll just tag it onto the bill that's coming in a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because the system doesn't is a system, it doesn't know, it shut me off. Yeah.
Listen,
Anyways.
mine even got bigger than that. That I was to the point where I'm like, I literally returned the device back into your place. And then now it's saying, oh, we can't help you until we receive it. You received it. No, but we didn't receive it in our main offices. I'm like, that's not my problem. That is
Yep.
not my problem. I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys messed up the whole situation. I then gave you the device back, and now you're still trying to say you can't help me. And I gave him one more. I said, if I don't get help by today, and every single person I talked to was not from the United States, I'm like,
Yeah.
I am getting really upset. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I said, lady, I'm done. Bye. You know what? I'm done. And I went to T-Mobile. You can start paying for us if you like, because I went to T-Mobile business and
Yeah.
I set up my business account. Oh my God, what an experience. My bill is literally with 4 lines, $150 a month.
That's
That is
awesome,
it.
man.
That is it.
I'm glad you're saying this because I'm literally getting away from Verizon for this whole situation. I can't.
I
Yeah.
jumped ship. T-Mobile took care of me. And on top of that, they gave me an iPad that's connected to that I have service all the time. Like, here, you can have that for free. I'm like,
That's
so I
awesome.
got an iPad and yep, you just put on auto pay $150 a month. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because my bill with Verizon was like anywhere between $300 to $500 a month.
Yeah. I'm paying $300. I'm paying
Yep.
close to $300 a month. Yeah.
$150 a
Yeah.
month. Go to
That's
T-Mobile
crazy.
right now. T-Mobile, Mr. Deed, come. We'll be a sponsor,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. There you go. T-Mobile sponsor this.
Ray, man, it's been freaking amazing having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks
Yeah,
for having me on.
and hopefully you get a lot of business from this. And guys, if you are a business owner and you have not called Ray yet, solidify your business and make it structured. You're
Yep.
stupid if you don't. Give him a call. Reach out to him. I'm sorry I used that word, but hey, I'm just playing frank. So, guys, reach out to him. Guys, listen, thank you so much for listening. Remember, action builds empire. Stay focused, stay hungry, and give life a whammo. It's Omar Andreasen here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Mr. Deeds. Take care, guys. This is Omar Andreasen signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.